You gotta find your people, the ones that make you feel alright, the kind you wanna stay up with all night. You gotta find your people, the ones that make you feel whole. They won't leave your side when you lose control. The ones that don't let you lose your soul.
Hey everybody, welcome to this week's podcast. I'm Josh Vietti. I'm here with Gennaro Hernandez. I'm here with Pastor Ron Vietti and Vincent Sierra. We are the Off the Mountain crew for today. Nicole Dickey's out today with some family stuff that she's handling.
She's at the dentist, Josh.
Okay, all right.
Her son's getting braces.
Oh, yeah.
It's a big day.
That is a big day.
That's
a big
where
deal.
she should be.
Yeah, that's cool.
I like that you made it dramatic. You're like, she's out with some family stuff. Everyone's like, ooh, tell me more. Yeah. Everyone settled in, got their popcorn.
She has a big thing going on that she's battling right now. It's called dental bills.
Did you guys ever have braces?
No. I mean, look,
It wasn't, in our day, we didn't even think about braces.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
I may as well have grown up in 1940s London. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
There's no dental visits at all.
He's blaming me and his mother is what he's doing.
Like, I get it. You guys didn't have insurance.
We didn't have
It
insurance.
is what it is.
Didn't have money.
It's all right. We made it.
We lived in a tent out in the Mojave Desert.
Yeah, that's right.
Got to do
Didn't
it.
have a car. We all went into town on a scooter.
Hey, man. Got to start somewhere.
And we walked to school in the snow.
The wagon wheel.
Yeah, people are going to think you're serious. They're going to be like, what? What?
Yeah, you know what? I like to start out with crowd breakers. And I have something, and I want to just open some conversation. Then we're going to go on part 2 of stress. Mm-hmm. But people are sharing the dumbest myths we all still somehow believe in 2026. Here's the first one. Need to hear this. Blood is blue and only turns red when it reacts to the air. That is not true.
Huh.
I know. I did the same thing. I thought, I still kind of believed that. No, it says it's not true. Blood is red through and through.
Looks pretty blue in your veins, doesn't it?
It does.
So is it just red all the way through?
It's red. It's what this says here. So have you heard that? The blood.
I've kind of heard that, yeah. But now I'm starting to think about my childhood, like when you would get the flashlight and you would shine it into your arm, and you could see all the red, like everything. So I don't know.
What kind of flashlight you have?
You've never done that? You guys never done
You
that?
saw in your veins?
If it was in an area that was thin enough.
Huh.
Yeah.
Like your hand, fingers. Yeah.
Yeah, you could see through it, like it's
You
all
see your
red.
bones.
Yeah.
Were you ever told not to swallow your gum?
Yeah.
Gum takes 7 years to pass through your
that
digestive
true?
system. No, it's not true.
Oh, I tell my kids that all the time. Don't
No.
swallow the gum.
No.
You
Probably
get
not
stuck in you.
good.
No, there's not a huge collection of bubble gum sitting in the pit of your stomach. It's not true. It'll pass right through. That's what they say anyway. We only use 10% of our brains.
Is that not true?
Not true. They said we use all of our brain. I don't believe a lot of people do. I really don't. I know a few that use 5% of their brain.
Yeah.
And the average person eats so many live spiders in their sleep in a year.
I probably do. I sleep with my mouth open sometimes.
I woke up one time
bad
years ago,
sinuses?
Gennaro, and I was thinking, I was in deep thought, and I was chewing like you do after a meal. And I spit out a fly.
Ugh.
That's gross.
Ugh.
Have you ever been like on a bike ride and you like inhaled like a bunch of gnats?
Oh,
You know what
I
I'm
have,
talking about? Like,
I have not
like
a bike ride, but I've done that.
Yeah.
where you're just like, and then just all in your mouth all at once. You're like, oh, what's going on?
I have swallowed bugs. Come to think about it.
There was an old lady who swallowed a fly.
Huh?
That's
And-
a good book.
It is a good book.
It's
a good lesson in life.
I'm lost for the first time ever on this
You've
podcast.
never heard there was an old lady who swallowed a fly?
No, that's a book?
Yeah.
Someone actually
Seriously?
I haven't either.
Someone actually took the time to write
Pastor,
that
that
down.
was like, are you serious? There's an old lady who swallowed a fly, perhaps she'll die.
I've never.
What?
There's an old
I've-
lady who swallowed a spider that wiggled and jiggled and tickled inside her.
Oh, I
swallowed the
kinda
spider to
remember
catch
that.
the fly.
This is a book?
Okay.
It is a book.
There's an old lady who swallowed a cat. Imagine that. She swallowed a cat. You got come on,
Is
guys.
this Dr. Seuss?
Yeah.
No.
It's Dr. Schmoosh.
To my surprise, though, is what is the life lesson? I thought it was just a song.
Don't
I did too.
overdo it.
I recognize it when Vince said the poem. Eddie part.
Don't overdo it. You had a small problem, you turned it into a big problem. Come on. That's the life lesson. You swallowed a fly. It's not a big deal, but you made it into a big deal. Guys, we can end the podcast there.
That's a reach.
Yeah.
Google it.
Yeah, I'm going to add one here, but this says
Hang on, guys. It'll get better.
you need to wait 24 hours before filling a missing persons report. I thought that was true. And they say no. They said the first 24 hours is critical. Now, see, I would have thought don't call the police because, for 24 hours they won't even file it, but it's not true. Did you also hear that you couldn't go swimming for so many hours after eating?
Yep.
Yeah.
Or
Mom
you
would
get the
tell me
cramps
that
and
all
drown?
Yep.
No?
Is that on there?
I don't know. It's not on here. Just thought of it. What about the Great Wall of China is visible from space without equipment?
I've heard that.
That's a bunch of baloney.
Oh, that's awesome.
I mean, come to think about it. Come on.
true.
From space?
Yeah. I almost got sucked into watching a flat Earth documentary this morning, but I was like, I don't have time for that.
Yeah, you got to be really bored to do that.
Yeah. It just popped up.
Jannar, you used to have to buddy in on this podcast, buddy.
Yeah.
You have to. Nikki will sit here like a tennis game sometimes. Poor Nikki. She doesn't want to interrupt. She's so kind. And she never gets in. Number 7, organic means no pesticides. Now, I know that. They still have pesticides,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but it's not the bad kind. So swallowing a seed will make it grow in your stomach. Watermelon seed.
I don't know who's ever believed that.
I have heard that it's real bad for you, that it could give you appendicitis. I've heard that.
Oh.
I don't know. Seeds?
But it's not true.
I don't think so.
Almost read that one. Boy, shouldn't read that one. Okay, sitting too close to the TV will ruin your eyes.
I was told that.
I was too. I was told my kids, get away. You got to back up.
And the microwave.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
That one might be true.
The microwave
Yeah.
one. Yeah, I think that is
It's
too.
possible.
I never heard of this in the 5-second rule. We've all heard this phrase as kids. The popular notion that dropped food is still safe to eat if it's been on the floor for less than 5 seconds.
No, I actually just watched something on this yesterday, oddly. And it turns out that after 1 second, there's maybe less than 10% of the germs that transfer.
Oh, really?
But then after 5 minutes, it's 30 or 40%.
And that's true.
So it is the longer it's there, the more germs are transferred.
Makes sense.
However, there's enough bad bacteria and germs transferred as soon as it touches. You can transfer bacteria. I can transfer bacteria to Gennaro, not that I'm going to, by giving him a high five.
Yeah,
You're
Right?
kidding.
But shaking his hand would transfer a lot more.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
Well, you remember when COVID was at its
A high five
worst.
wouldn't kill him.
Right, but
Yeah.
the fist bump is actually best.
When COVID was at its worst, they came out with a rule one time. They said if you're talking to someone at close range, and just for a minute or two, it probably wouldn't hurt you. But if it was more than so many minutes, at least that was a rumor.
Is COVID on the myth?
No,
list?
but this last one, we'll end with this one for sure. That peeing on a jellyfish will help the sting go away.
Well, I don't think you're supposed to pee on the jellyfish.
No, I don't.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
You're pretty good. You got to reach if you can get the jellyfish.
I read it wrong.
That just annoys him really bad.
Hey, Billy, go get that jellyfish.
That just teaches the jellyfish a lesson. Should not have grabbed onto me.
I
pal.
wanted to hurry and read this one. It's
I'm gonna
peeing
keep-
on a jellyfish sting. It will help.
You tell the jellyfish, I'm going to humiliate you right now in front of all your friends.
Oh, we just wrecked this whole podcast, guys.
Oh man.
I just thought, I don't know if I should read this, but I'll read it real fast.
Oh, man.
Perfect.
What about the going outside and it's cold?
Okay, that was on there.
It was.
I didn't read it. And I will argue with that one till the day I die.
That it is or that it isn't.
If I go outside and get my hair wet and get all cold and chill for a prolonged period of time, I will get sick. I don't care what they say.
So what it is, from what I understand, my wife's a nurse, and I've asked her this before because we've talked about this a lot. And if you already have a virus in your system, it can tax your immunity. So it will give the virus, a little bit more push in your system. So
And she's totally correct
so that's what will happen.
because I pulled it up.
Oh,
While being chill for a long time doesn't directly cause a cold or flu, it can weaken your immune system and increase your susceptibility to the viruses.
Yeah,
that's just what she said. Yeah, guys, I'm laughing so hard yet I can't even read.
That's right. You know what? It's funny because we were talking about stress part 2, and that's one of the ways you can combat stress is just laughing, having a good time. So.
I'll tell you, stress melts when you're laughing. We talked about that last week. But let's talk about a few more things. I've known this for a long time, that when you stress out over stuff and you stay stressed for 24 hours or 48 or however long, it releases cortisol, known as a stress hormone. And this hormone, of course, is essential for managing acute short-term stress. But if you keep producing it over a long period of time, it can cause anxiety, sleep disorders, and weight gain. I used to, if I'd been stressed for a week or so, I'd feel around my waist, and man, I had a lot more weight around my waist. And it's cortisol.
There was a study a long time ago, and I can't give you guys the information on it because I can't remember all the information on it, but it had to do with monkeys, and they were testing their cortisol levels. And the monkeys that were very social and were part of the group had less cortisol, but the ones that were kind of pushed out of the group had a lot more stress and a lot more cortisol. And it made me think, like, that's how humans are too in a lot of ways. Like, if we have a strong group around us, a strong social support, you can handle stress a lot better.
You can.
I mean, your body just reacts. It's a comfort, to have people around you. So I would always encourage people to find their people and make sure that you invest in those friendships. So some people say, they'll come up to me, how do I find a good Christian friend? Well, are you in the places where people are? I mean, are you going to these church events? Are you going to a small group? Are you getting connected? Are you serving? Because that's how you build the relationships. And I'm saying this based off of my own experience. I mean, all of my friends, all the people in my life that matter to me came through relationships through the church. And I have probably one of the strongest support systems of anybody I know. So, and that has helped so much when I've gone through stuff that I've gone through, some of it self-proposed, but when I've gone through things, the people around me made all the difference in the world. Yeah. Not only did they comfort me, but they also gave me the resources and the direction that I needed. Right.
There's a study. It's the Harvard Study of Human Development, and it blows me away. It's one of the longest studies. They've gone through 3 different directors. And it started with about 70 people. And it wasn't just, hey, we'll sit down and interview. They would go through their doctor's visits. They would sit in when they had, hard conversations with their spouses. And then it grew into their families. Their wives and their children joined the experiment. And it went for so long. And what they found, the goal was finding out, the meaning of life. And what they found is those who had a community, their brain would not decline as quickly as those who were segregated. Wow. It's insane. You can actually just look up Harvard Study Human Development.
Is that one of the thoughts behind what we're told in the Bible too? To confess our sins to one another and pray for one another that you might be healed?
Yeah.
One of the many thoughts behind that passage?
Very well could be. I mean, the fact that that people want you to be healed and want you to be better makes a big difference too.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, I think a lot of people, when they think about church people, when they think about becoming part of a church, they think, I'm going to go to this place and be judged, right? But the truth is, at least at our church, and I hope it's this case in most churches, you're going to a place that you're going to be supported a lot more than judged. There will always be people that judge. I mean, that's just unfortunate. But there's so many more people that are supportive. Like, when I see somebody, even the people that I've had a brush with, and maybe we don't get along as well, maybe we wouldn't hang out every single day, I still want them to do well. Like, I really do. I truly do. And that's God. That's Jesus inside of me. Like, that's not me just like deciding I want everybody in the world to do well. That's the heart of God. And so I would encourage you to just not be afraid to make sure that you go out and put yourself out there and make Christian friends.
You know what, Vince, maybe you can answer this, or any of you guys, but I have 2 people, because you can't do this with a lot of people. Let me vent. And very often I'll call them. I say, you got just a second. Can I vent right now? because you're such a good friend.
Yeah.
And afterwards, I will say, you know what? Thank you. I feel better. I hope you don't feel worse, but I do feel better.
My people are at this table.
At the what?
At this table. You guys are my people.
Oh, you said the stable.
No. Maybe if I had a stable, I'd go yell at a horse. But yeah. No, you go back to Genesis and you look, and right away it said God knew that Adam wasn't supposed to be alone. And it wasn't by God's design that we were alone. It's funny, during COVID, you're reading that study. I read a study yesterday that during COVID, people's stress level went into astronomical levels. In fact, it was like they said 1 in every 5 person had abnormal stress, and then during COVID it was like 50% of people had abnormal stress.
Wow.
And I think that had to do with just the disconnection from people. We isolate a lot of people, completely isolated during COVID, not just because of the rules to isolate, but also just it was a way for them to have an excuse to drift away and fall away from people.
Yeah, I think the 2 main points from that study was that loneliness kills, and I like what you said. It wasn't about the quantity of how many people were in your life; it was the quality. And so,
you can't share your innermost thoughts with a lot of people.
No.
But I have a couple, and it's really good. If I need a woman's perspective, I get my wife's. But if not my wife, Nikki, and then John Tweed or Doug Lohman are really good for me. But real quickly, here are some more things people are stressing out about according to the internet. Let's talk about the first one, finances. Finances.
It's a big one.
But how much of this stress is self-induced? We live in a culture today where we're really tempted to live above our means. The old phrase is to keep up with the Joneses. Lack of discipline. We want what people, sometimes when you're younger, you want what people 65 years old have that have been retired for a while, and that just isn't going to happen while you're raising kids. We want the vacation home and the motor home because they have it, but it's not going to happen. Debbie and I, your mother and I, years ago, we were in our 20s. We were dirt poor. We were in the ministry, but dirt poor. And we actually had 3 jars, and we would cash our check, and in one jar, we would say on it, bills, food and gas. And we'd put the money that we had calculated for the month in that jar. And then we would have tithes. We'd put the money that we calculated we need to pay for with tithes. And then the extra spending money, it would have Ron's spending money and Debbie's spending money. And back then, I think we got $5 a paycheck. And then we could accumulate it because we were arguing a lot over me spending money. Debbie was real frugal. And this was really funny. When you look back, it shouldn't have been funny at the time. But I would always spend my spending money, and then I would ask to borrow hers. And she would give it to me. My big expenditure was Christian albums. I'd want to go buy an album. But that shows you that, we didn't have money when we were younger. We were trying to raise kids, and I didn't make a big salary. The church wasn't nearly as big. And I want to say one thing to you guys, and this is something I learned the hard way. Enough will never be enough. It just won't. Today, our culture is based everything on 2 people house income, 2 people in the house.
Right.
And it used not to be that way. In the older days, really, we put a lot stronger value on raising children.
Yeah.
And the moms would basically want to be stay-at-home moms. And the husband was expect to make a good enough living that they could do that. So anyway, what about finances?
I think, definitely things have changed a lot. You have 2 parents working now because they have, if you live in California, depending on where you live too, like California, it's expensive to stay here and live here and provide. And so sometimes, you have to provide. I think it's hard as a family unit. You have to come to a decision that you provide. But I love what you said, Pastor. You talked about your jars. I think people get into financial trouble because they don't plan. And I think as a family unit, as an individual, I think you have to have a plan. I think you have to look forward and say, and take responsibility and say, here's how I'm going to plan, and here's what we need to do as a unit. But I think what happens, the reason why it compiles or it gets bigger, we kind of talked about this on the last podcast, is because we don't address it or we just kind of think, finance is not a big deal. Don't address it. Don't address it. Don't address it. Then it becomes a big deal because you haven't addressed it over a long period of time.
Or you know it's a big deal and you avoid it because you don't want to.
100%.
You know, want to feel the pain of it. But
yeah,
the pain is temporary, and you'll feel much better if you do. Right? I mean, if you just get a plan.
Yeah. Gennaro, were you going to say something?
Yeah, we lived in and you guys know this. We lived in a trailer for when we got married. Bought a trailer, renovated it, and like you said, like we planned. So which I'm so grateful that we did, because my wife right now is stay at home, and we saved up enough money, and we've been dipping into our savings here and there, but her parents also blessed us by getting her a place when she was younger, and so
that's right.
Yeah, so we locked in a really good. Like our mortgage isn't excessively high. And so, but I will say this, I feel like God has had his hand. We trusted him with it. And so my wife is home with our two, beautiful girls. And one of the things that I've learned, and I actually, when Vince told me about the topic, I was looking into stress. And the word stress, when it first came about, it was, it's like to choke. And it was like this feeling of like, you can't breathe, and then over time, that word has evolved, and now it's to put emphasis on. And that's something that God's been showing me with finances. Am I putting more emphasis on my finances, or am I putting more emphasis on God?
That is so good. At the end, I want to bring up 4 spiritual reasons that I see finances differently, and even stress, more like stress differently. But Gennaro, I know that about you, and that is a lost value. And I just praise you guys for that. I think that is so good. What an example.
Yeah.
So good.
But you have to be willing, so I heard somebody say you have to eat a lot of dirt, before you and they said it another way, but you have to eat a lot of that before you eat grass, and I think that we're not willing to sacrifice and eat. We're looking ahead, and it's hard. I mean, people have social media now, and there's a thing called FOMO, fear of missing out. You see your friends living their best lives, going to Hawaii, going to Disneyland, eating at the best restaurants. Every weekend they're out. You start wondering, like, we want to do that too, and then your wife might put an expectation on you to do more, or vice versa. The husband might put an expectation on the wife to do more, and all of a sudden you're at a place where you're living beyond your means. Right. And we kind of talked about this in our last podcast, where if you live beyond your means, if you're doing too much over here, it's going to catch up, right? It's your load's you're going to hit a tipping point. And so I think it's really important to come together and have good family meetings, or have your own, like we said, with your friends. If you're single, sit down with your friends and say, hey, here's my plan. Here's what I want to do, because it can get out of control, especially when I heard somebody say, comparison is the, how do they say it? It's like it basically steals your joy. Sure. It's the thief of joy. So when you're constantly comparing yourself to other couples, and like you said, Pastor, we compare ourselves to people that have worked for 50 years, and we want to have their houses and their lifestyle. It's just not.
I really had no savings really up until about 15, 18 years ago. And really, I might have a little teeny bit in savings, but I wouldn't, want to take those old days away. But I remember, to show you guys and not sound like one of those people that say, I had to walk to the snow 3 miles in no shoes, all that stuff. But I used to sit around kind of afraid when someone asked us out to eat. I told Deb, your mother, I said, you know what? What if they pay for our meal? Then next time we'll have to pay for their meal. I don't have enough money to buy anybody's meal. That's honest. I didn't have. It freaked me out going, I can't pay for their meal. Although it was tough during those days, I'm glad I went through them. I really do. It makes me appreciate what I have today. So
I remember going out to dinner. Vince, I think, might have been there. And there were these older guys that were helping us out in youth, and they had money. They were business entrepreneur guys. They're doing pretty well. And we went to dinner with them one time, and they're like, all right, we're gonna do the game. Like, what's
Oh,
the game?
yes.
And they all grab their
Their
credit
credit
cards,
cards.
and they like shuffle them, and it's like,
Credit card roulette.
yeah, they called it credit card
Roulette,
roulette. I don't
yes.
know how they did it, but they chose one credit card, and then that's who paid.
Yeah.
And
I would
was
have been
like,
scared to death in
Yeah.
those older
Oh,
days.
they wanted us to do it. We're
I
like,
don't
what do
have
you
the
what do
money.
you think
Oh,
we
so
have?
See,
More?
we never had a credit
It's
card.
like, here's 20 for mine.
Josh, we didn't have a credit card. I don't know when we got a credit card.
That's
We
good.
didn't have in the old days.
You know,
I
it's-
don't know if they were even available like they are today. I'm talking about 40 years ago, 50 years ago. I don't even know if we had one.
Yeah, it's better.
I also think, we get to this place where we think that thing, like I said, we compare, right? We're like, oh, we see these people at Disneyland. But, also Nicole said it yesterday, or not yesterday, last week, going on a camping trip can be just as much fun. You going tent camping. And so doing stuff that, you may not be able to do this thing, but you'll have memories about the other stuff. I love that you brought up the restaurant. One of my favorite memories as a kid, and you're going to remember this, maybe, Pastor. I remember hanging out with you guys. You guys took me up to the mountains. I don't even know why we were in the mountains. And I remember you, Pastor, you're like, we're going to go to this restaurant. It's called the Golden Corral. I'm like, the Golden
I remember
Corral.
that.
And he's like, Vince, you can get anything you want there. And I thought, bro, like, this is fancy. Because I didn't grow up like going to restaurants and stuff. So he's like, we're going to go to the Golden Crown. You can get whatever you want. And I'm like, whatever I want? Whatever you want. We rolled in there and it's like this big buffet. And he's like, I remember just eating so much that it was just like.
It was in Porterville.
I don't even know where
No,
we
it's
were at.
Porterville.
But I was living my best life. But my point is, I remember that as a kid, I didn't have to go to Disney. I remember going to the Golden Corral as a high schooler and being like, this is the best day of my life.
You talked about that for
forever
months.
because I've just never seen anything like that. I'm like, where
Golden Corral, Porterville.
So my point is like, I remember going, you mentioned this in the last week's podcast too. One of your favorite things was going to Yosemite with your family, Pastor. Mine too. I remember fishing and camping with my dad. Great memories. And so just because you can't do the thing, you can't go to Hawaii or whatever the case may be, create memories and do it within your own means.
Tent
They mean a
trailers.
lot. It means
In
a
a
lot.
tent trailer
In a
even.
tent.
Yeah.
I told my kids, they don't believe me, but my dad would I remember we didn't even have a tent at one point, and my dad said, we're gonna go camping, and he would get this blue tarp, and he would just pull it over us in the middle of the night. So we'd be in the middle of the woods, and he would just pull a tarp over us.
That's the way to do it right there.
I just thought this is what you do until later on. And my friend's like, hey, you want to go camping? I'm like, yeah. And I thought somebody's going to pull out a tarp, and they had a tent. And I was like, what is this? What is this house?
You have
What is this thing?
a plastic house.
But those memories never disappear. I remember being in Sequoia or Yosemite. It seemed like it was 2 or 3 occasions. We'd be laying there at night, and they'd say, quiet. And you could hear a bear sniffing all around the tent. He was
It
sniffing.
was Mammoth.
Huh?
Mammoth. We were in Mammoth when that happened. I remember that happening in Mammoth.
But when I was a little kid, too,
Oh,
in
okay.
Yosemite, Sequoia.
I just remember that happened when we were in a tent trailer in Mammoth.
Yeah.
Remember?
Honest question. What do you want? Is there anything at all that you want today that you go, I really want it, but it'd probably be a financial strain. Maybe I couldn't afford it right now, or I can't afford it right now. Is there anything you can think of?
Just if I open social media, there's hundreds of things that I can think of. But it's one of those things where I have to every single day take those thoughts captive.
Yeah.
Because it's the things, the tangible things that will make me want that, or I'll put pressure on. Well, I have to do more in order to give my family that. When in reality, it's God's taking care of us.
These guys are more gear guys. They have all their stuff, and that's great, and I love it. But
I mean, Vince and Gennaro, yeah.
Vince and Gennaro, yeah. Vince
Not
and
me.
Gennaro are more gear guys. And so they get into, when they camp, it's not cheap camping. Come on, guys, let's be honest. But they live it up, and it's nice. I like traveling. I like experiences.
Yeah.
So I will spend all my money on travel.
Yeah, you do.
I will buy a mountain bike and then I'll sell it to travel, and then I'll figure out how to get a mountain bike again later. Like that's my whole
That's
thing.
true with the young generation. You even watch Price is Right, and they all want the trips.
Yeah.
Next time you guys go, I would love to go with you when you go camping. I just make sure there's a Holiday Inn close, and I'll stay there and meet you for the fishing in the morning.
Yeah. Well, Mammoth has gotten to the point where it's like only affordable if you camp. Like it's so expensive
It's
to stay
nuts.
in a hotel.
It's
there.
so much fun though. We went tent camping in the down in the Twin Lakes area. Dude, it's so much fun. I would
is fun.
prefer that than staying in an Airbnb.
I remember
think it's super
we
fun.
stayed across the campground from Vince and his crew, And I just kept hearing all night somebody's horn going off. I was
Oh,
like, what
yeah.
is happening, dude?
A
Like,
bear.
why are they?
No
and so
way.
they were, Vince said a bear came and would like raid their camp every night. And so he would hit his alarm on his truck. And
Our bear locker, the bears knew. Dude, bears are so smart. But our bear locker was busted. And so we thought, oh, it's going to be fine. You know, and we just thought it'll. And so we shut it enough so it looked like it was closed. Well, every night the bears would roll in and just like they would just basically rip apart our ice chest, rip everything. There was a pancake trail, like pancake mix, trailed out to the woods, dude, where they would just
do your
come
kids
in.
still remember that? 'Cause
Oh, they
that
do.
Was a good time.
They're
You know what?
laughing
This
so hard.
is so good for your children. And I would really, really strongly suggest that younger families do this. Camping out, there's just something about it that's so cool.
Yeah.
Making pancakes in the morning
Yeah.
and you know, sausage and eggs. I mean, you'll never forget that. We used to go to Yosemite a lot on vacation and Sequoia. And those are some of my most fond moments of vacation.
We had fun this year. We went hunting, and it was the only time I went one time. That's terrible. But we went overnight, and we set up our tent, set up our camp.
That was so
and,
funny.
And it poured rain. I mean,
Insane.
It was a
And thunder.
full-blown storm. We're at the top of a mountain.
Wow.
10,000 feet, whatever it was. And Gennaro was with our other friend Tom, and they were knocked out. Vince and I were in our tents separately, but our tents were kind of next to each other. And I just remember laying there, and it's just like
You could see the light flashing through
and
your
Vince is
tent.
all, did you hear that?
I don't think Vince ever got to go, but remember those times we took horses back in?
Yeah.
2 or 3. I think you only went on one. We had about 4 times we went.
Yeah.
But I took you on the last one.
out
I
of
think.
Balch Park. That was fun.
Yeah, out of Balch Park, we went like 17 miles back in on horseback.
Yep.
So fun.
Yeah, you're back there. And
I didn't get to go, but it sounds
well,
fun.
the whole time I think about that, I was like, man, if there was ever an emergency, you're hiking 17 miles out.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was pretty wild.
And we were the only ones back there.
yeah. We didn't have a
We didn't
sat
see
phone or
anybody.
anything.
That was fun. I mean, guys,
I don't think I would
you're
do that
making me
again.
want to go
Yeah.
back to camping now because those were some good memories, man.
Let's go.
I
Let's plan
saw
it.
I
Yeah.
saw a video that said, and it was about those experiences, whether it's camping, whether your family goes on a picnic or does a trip, or but they were saying, what was your gift for Christmas last year, and people will sit there
They don't
and
remember.
kind of think, don't remember. But then if you ask them, okay, well, what did you guys do as a family? What was your vacation trip last year?
Yeah.
And they can just boom,
Yep.
bring it up.
Those memories, take a lot of pictures and so forth and so on.
I think I'm going to do that this year. I think I'm
Just,
going to ask
you
my
know.
kids, hey, would you guys rather have presents, like a lot of presents, or would you rather travel somewhere?
I did this last year. I asked my kids, I was like, hey, we don't have to do Christmas presents. We'll go on a trip, a family
That'd be
trip.
great.
And they said no. They
What?
said no. But you know what? My kids are teenagers now. I figured it out.
yeah.
And they like clothes. I have a teenage daughter. She likes clothes.
They want to be
My-
around their friends.
I
Probably.
think they were just like, we want clothes. They wanted clothes. They didn't ask
Right.
for like toys and stuff. They just
But that
wanted
makes
clothes.
sense.
Yeah. So
But
it's
that'll
just time of
change.
life. It'll change.
Yeah, it'll
Yeah.
change.
Yeah.
Number 2, something that a lot of people stress about is aging. Does that, the thought of aging, does that stress you out a bit?
I stress about my kids aging.
Oh, really?
Oddly enough. Yeah, because I really enjoy, like the toddler stage. Like it's my favorite. Like, I
Right.
just love it because they're getting their little personalities. They're starting to argue, which is so cute. A little tiny human arguing with you is funny until it's not. Until they're a teenager arguing with you. But they're growing up so fast, and it's just hard to capture all the moments. And I was telling my wife, I'm like, the kids are at school so many hours per week, and then on the weekends, like we do things, and and they end up at your house, Dad, or the other grandparents' house, and I'm like, man, we need to make sure that we spend as much time with these kids as possible right now because it's going to go away. It's not going to last.
Josh, that is so important that you say that. It's not going to last. And I'm just going to throw this in right here. It's kind of, kind of off topic a little bit. But we're talking about the fear of aging right now. And you got to make sure you take full advantage of life when you're younger. Let me throw in 5 things, advice that I would give any younger people. Number 1, and these are just off the cuff, but deal with joint pain. That's one thing I wrote down. Because when you're older, it'll be a nightmare if you don't deal with it now. And this is one thing I tell young people. Number 2, play ball with the kids. Do things with them. I've done a lot of funerals at this age, been in the ministry for 50 some years, and I've heard it over and over and over and over again. I've never heard a child or a young, not a child, but I've never heard a young adult say, well, you know, my dad supplied everything for us. He always had a good job and we had a car. It's like a broken record. They always had time for me. I hear it over and over and over again. They never were too busy for me.
Yeah, just last night, my kids were playing in the backyard, and they were making a mess, as kids do. You know, grabbing every toy that they have and just basically throwing it in the yard, and then, you know, fighting and playing and having a good time. And I was cleaning up back there, and I'm just listening to them. I'm just hearing them, you know. And I just had this thought: I'm gonna miss this someday.
You are.
Someday
You are.
I'm going to look back on this right now, and I'm going to miss this. And so, you know, you just soak as much of it in as you possibly can, and you enjoy it while it's here, you know?
Do you know
Not
what?
to be depressive, but like that's...
No, that's real. You know, I've been doing more funerals within our church, and it just, every time I do it, there's just this appreciation of where I'm at, and it's a reminder of, you know, being present. Because I think that the issue is the cell phone, and it just robs the time that you have.
It does.
Amen.
It does.
It's so hard.
So true.
Yeah, I was at keep talking about this. I was at the barbecue joint yesterday, and I was getting my salad, and there was a guy next to me about my age, and I don't know how, but I feel like we were communicating telepathically, you know, and we were telling each other, "Don't you even pull your phone out, dude. Let's just stare down the people that are making our food. Let's just look around, you know, like at our age, we were just like, no, I'm not going to pull the phone out. Everyone else has their phone out because it's like 5 minutes of silence. You have to, oh, it's my friend. I have to see what's on, you know." And that was a weird story, I know, but anyway.
No, I mean, you're right. I think we live in wild times. It's funny. We are not okay without that device, you know, and it's a big thing. It's a big source of stress. People won't admit it. But leave your cell phone at home and tell me you don't get max stressed out.
I know. I need to do that.
But that's the one thing about going into the woods, you know, going camping. There is no devices.
I think I'm going to do cell phone free day.
That's actually a good idea.
Well, one of the things I thought we'd bring back up today, because we talked about it last week, is what is a proper Sabbath? Because we talked about it,
right?
Like taking a day of rest. But what is a proper day of rest? Because some of us, we might be like, oh, you know, I rested for 4 hours, and then, but are we truly resting?
Right.
You know, and I think it'd be good to talk about at the end. But no, I agree. The aging thing. It's funny because the older you get, you start thinking about what's important. You guys both mentioned funerals. As you guys were talking, you know, when you're at a funeral, nobody's talking about the stuff they wish they would have bought or had.
Right.
You know, like, oh man, if I just would have got that car or that house or whatever.
Right.
No, all these photos are just the people they loved and their family. Because that's what, at the end of the day, it's what's important.
Yeah.
Well, I think what I did, I kind of got off track here, but I'm talking about using your younger life wisely.
Yeah.
Set up a savings account for retirement. Don't spend it all right now. I made a big mistake there, and I would advise you not to do the same. Live in a frugal way. And number 4, I want to name these last 2. Take care of your health. I mean, you better take care of your health. You don't want someone else raising your children. And I'm telling you, that's a thing I harp on with younger guys especially. Because I see a lot of younger guys, not you guys specifically, you're all in pretty good shape. But I'm thinking, man, they're cruising for a bruising. You know, and you have to take care of your health. You owe it to them. And this one here is one of my wife's big regrets. Visit your older relatives. You have something to learn from them because soon they'll be gone. Your mother, my wife, we go over this a lot. And she said, Ron, why didn't I spend more time with your mother? When we were younger, Debbie was kind of more of a loner. And she wasn't around my mother a lot. She says, man, I wished I would spend more time with your Italian grandmother, with your mother. I have so many things I'd want to ask them today, but they're gone. They're gone.
Yeah.
And so the older people around you, they have a lot to share, man.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that's one of my wife's biggest regrets. I told her I was going to be talking about it today. She said, oh, please. That's a huge regret. And the next thing was people worry, I'll get back on track here. The next thing people stress out a lot about is job security. I will say this one thing. It's hard to switch vocations when you get in your 50s. Find the job you like now. Try to find out where you want to live now, because it's hard to change your roots later. And so you have to really put a lot of time and prayer into this now. So people do it. Said on the internet, they worry about job security. Probably a delicate subject for you guys to talk about, because I've been your boss for years, and now Vince and Josh are more the bosses. And but do you ever worry about job security? Probably not.
Yeah, I mean,
People on the internet do.
You worry about, I worry about not necessarily my job, but more of like the movement of the church and how it's going, and making sure that they're going well. I think that's really important to think about.
I think about the parable. I'm not trying to sound overly spiritual, but just like, you're given a talent and you're supposed to do something with it. I just want to know the responsibility. I just want to be like, for me, my struggle is like, God, am I doing the most of with what you've given me? And I think that comes down to just wanting, and it's not like, God, I want to overperform. It's just like, God, I want to make sure that I'm locked into where you have. And sometimes you think about where you're at. You're like, is this where I'm supposed to be?
Right.
I think it's weird if you don't question sometimes. I think every year it's good to question and go, God, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing?
I have a weird worry about getting caught in the machine and doing the same
that's what I'm
thing
saying.
over and over and over and over, and being stuck,
I told your mother the other day, I said, it feels like Groundhog Day.
Yeah, it can. Yeah,
I don't like that feeling. I the idea of just being
I don't
like
that movie.
Yeah,
I don't like that movie.
So yeah.
Another thing they worry about on the internet is divorce. And I would say to them, you need to build your marriage based upon a purpose. And that purpose has to be bigger, or at least as big as the marriage itself.
It's funny. People, they think I don't have the best marriage in the world. And then they go through the fire, and sometimes the fire destroys them, right? And sometimes it makes them stronger. What's interesting is if you go through the fire and it makes you stronger, as I have, my wife and I, you end up with a much better marriage. You know what I mean? That's the irony of it.
Yeah.
If you stick with it, you end up with the marriage you've always wanted. And I, the one thing, when my wife and I first got married, she asked me, is this going to be easy, do you think? I was like, no. I was like, it's going to be really hard. I was like, but we're going to be better as we progress through this together, you know?
Right.
And the rarity, Dad, of seeing you guys, stay together for so many years.
57.
I wasn't going to mention, but that is worthy of mention, because it's just very rare to somebody stay together for that long. And you guys have a depth in your relationship that is not. It's just not common.
I told her the other day, I said, think about it. I met her in my advisory class in high school. To be able to see the future and go over to that little girl in my advisory class and say, you want to know about what our life's going to be like? We're going to have kids together, grandkids, great-grandkids. It's unbelievable that cute little blonde in my advisory class had our children and
pretty wild, man.
Grandchildren. But you have to build your marriage on something bigger than the marriage itself.
Yeah.
Our goal, of course, is to do kingdom work. But also our goal is was to raise godly kids and deposit them in the kingdom. And now it's to raise godly grandkids, or to help, not raise them, but we get to help. And now I have a grandchild, another one on the way, a great-grandchild, excuse me. So
I think in the context of that, it's funny because when people get married, you're thinking about the good, right? The part of the marriage, it's good. But there's something that we say when we get married. There's a vow that we take. It's for better or worse, and we don't think about the worst part. Like we don't think, oh, that doesn't apply to us. But it applies to every marriage. Every marriage is going to go through something. It's gonna be hard. And I think if young people can say for better or worse, and know that it's going to be both, and that you're locked in and committed for the good and the bad, then like you said, there's going to be growth out of that. But you have to be committed to both. You can't say, well, I'm just committed to the good part of this marriage. Right. I'm committed to the
better or worse.
Better or worse, yeah, better
till
or worse.
Till death do us part. I took this off the phone the other day, and I think a lot of parents need to hear this. It says, our job as parents is not to have an all-star athlete or get our kids into Harvard. Our job is to get them into heaven. That's our job.
Yeah.
I see a lot of parents in our church, and and they have their kids in every sport around, and it seems kind of like, from my perspective, they're putting God on the back burner. You have to make that the number one priority. Well, real quickly, another one is death of loved ones. This is something that they stress about a lot on the internet. Now, older ones, I don't think we worry about so much because of our eternal perspective. When our older ones die, we plan them, we don't bury them. But the kids, you worry about that. I don't know about you, but I can't hardly watch that Shriners Hospital for Kids commercials on TV. They play that commercial for some reason a lot during the sports programs, and I just can't watch it. Little kids in the cancer ward and all that.
Right.
And because they specialize in pediatric care. So on the internet, it says they worry a lot about that, the death of the loved ones, and especially I think that would probably center in on children.
Sure. I mean, you worry about the safety of your children. You're the provider, you're the protector, and yeah, I mean, if something happens to your kids, even if it's not by anything that you did, you're going to feel like it's your fault, but it's not. I mean, it's life, it's unfortunately one of those things that doesn't make any sense connected to faith if eternity doesn't exist, but it does, and that's the thing. Like, it really, truly, truly does. And so
we have a different perspective as Christians,
like,
right?
I never want to go through that ever.
Right.
I hope that I don't, but I know that if one of my kids passed, that it would be just a moment of time for them before I saw them again.
Exactly. Well, they say in the Bible, it says, a year is like a day is like 1,000 years, 1,000 years like a day. I calculated the other day, I was doing a funeral, and I said, you know what? Someone said in this funeral audience, you said, if something like this happened to me, I'd be so afraid that my kids would miss me. And I calculated it up according to 1,000 years a day. Day is 1,000 years. I say they'll miss you for about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's not long at all.
I mean, it's a weird thought, but as a Christian, if your kid passes, they're in such a better place,
Right.
like truly in a better place, that there should be almost a weird sense of joy that they're there, I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but then it's really hard to wrap our minds around that because we would feel so lost and upset.
I was talking to somebody.
It's understandable.
I was talking to somebody the other day in the family, not you, but I was talking to somebody that's related to me, and they talked about this fear. And I said, your fear is unfounded because God has promised, I'll give you grace in the time of need.
Yeah.
And he doesn't give it to you ahead of time. He'll give it to you in the time of need.
Yeah.
And although you spend a lot of time worried about that now, if it happened, which Lord forbid it ever would, God will meet you at that place, and it'll even blow you away.
That's another thing too, is like the shock. You talk about the funerals that we go to, because we do. We go to and we perform funerals, and we probably go to more funerals than anybody else in any other job, right? Because we work at a church, we're in ministry, and gosh, there's such a stark difference between those who have lived a life of faith and belief and those that don't.
Tell me about it.
A stark difference.
Huge.
There's a light in the room when somebody lives their life right and lives their life with God, and a peace that shouldn't be there, really, truly shouldn't be there, but it is. And then there's people that they believe, but they haven't. You just know that they haven't like fully lived their life in that world. You don't see them very often. It's just you just kind of know, and there's a difference. There's a huge difference.
I've seen some of the most heart disturbing things happen at the funerals of people who haven't followed God, don't have a strong belief system in Him. And again, I don't want to go back through these in detail, but you said it well. There's a big difference.
Well, it's just sad too when somebody's lived their life kind of selfishly, and they don't have a lot of people show up.
Yeah.
That's a sad thing too.
I did a funeral last week. The girl was in her 30s and passed, but was a believer, and it was at the Northwest campus. It was a celebration.
Wow,
because she was a believer,
and that's wild because that's early. It's way too early.
Yeah, and they're like, hey, we want everyone to come back. We're gonna eat. That's what she would want, and they're laughing, they're talking, they're praising God. Just
blows you away, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We just had one a couple weeks ago, and they're up there encouraging me by saying, you ought to be proud of this church. And they went on and on. This is the best church. And anyway, very often I've had them ministering to me. I'm so heartbroken for them. And then they start encouraging me, saying, it's okay, Pastor, we're going to make it.
Yeah. Well, you hurt for the people, and that's
You
natural,
hurt
too.
for them. That's when you know you're a true shepherd. I start crying for them. And that's what Jesus did, right? He wept. That's the only time we know that he wept.
Knowing that he was going to raise Lazarus from the dead,
But he hurt so much for their pain.
Yeah.
Because he knew they didn't know. These 4 things I wanted to say real quickly. These are verses that have helped me deal with stress. Number 1 is Romans 8:28. For my God shall cause all things to work together for good. I rely on that verse. Number 2, 1 Peter 5:7. Cast your cares on him because he cares for you. That's really said a lot to me. And then this one here is big. John chapter 11, 25 through 26. I am the resurrection and life. The one who believes in me will live even if he dies. And whoever lives and believes in me will never die. He said, do you believe this? Oh, that's huge. And then Philippians 4:19, my God shall supply all your needs according to his riches and glory in Christ Jesus. Those 4 verses have helped me through all kinds of times of stress, just to refocus on those and know that that's truth. That's 100% truth, every one of those. So I don't know what you want to do as we turn the corner here, but last comments or anything you want to add on stress?
I love Romans 8:28. You brought that up first, and God causes all things to work together, for those who love him and are called according to his purpose. One of the things I think is important for us to walk away listening to this podcast is, one, there's things that are in and out of your control. And maybe we talked a little bit at this on the last podcast, but I think stress can be self-induced if you are not working on things that you can control, because there's stuff that you can do to make your life less stressful.
Well, yeah, Charles Duhigg wrote a book called Smarter, Faster, Better. It's a really good book. But in it, he talks about something called locus of control. So some people walk around in life, most people walk around in life and have more of a external locus of control, meaning they believe that life happens to them, that most of the things in their life are out of their control and they're just floating, right? And then certain people have a very strong internal locus of control, which means they believe they can control their whole entire life, right? And studies show that the people that have a more internal locus of control, that they have more control over their life, are more successful, okay? But what I took from that is I realized that there's something to be said about people who have a very strong understanding of what they can control and what they can't control.
Yeah.
And those that understand what they can control and understand what they can't, the next step is choosing not to worry or stress about the things you can't. But then focusing all your energy on the things that you can. And there's a verse, and I can't remember the verse exactly, but basically it goes along the lines of God will give us what we can handle each day, not more. He doesn't if we feel overwhelmed and overburdened, it's not because of God. It's because we have chosen to stress over things that we can't control. So that's a really, really good point.
One of the things I feel like I put so much stress and emphasis on my personal needs or the needs for my family. And I think it's up to me. And if I'm not supplying those needs, it's not going to be good.
Yeah.
And, you open up God's word and you see Matthew chapter 6, but seek first the kingdom of God.
There you go.
And all of these things, every need, he knows every need. He'll take care of it.
And even that scripture talks about clothes.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Like, why are you stressed about clothes? Like, I don't think of the people in Jesus' time being stressed. Like, oh, is my robe? Is this the right robe for today? But he literally says, don't stress about what you're gonna wear. He's like, God clothes the birds of the field. Like, he clothes.
It must have been an issue.
It must have been an issue.
Right.
It must have been a thing, right? It's pretty wild.
Yeah. You know what? I think I could coin a new verse that we don't stress like those who have no hope. That's not in the Bible, obviously, but we don't grieve as those who have no hope. But I think we could put that verse in there and it would fit right in.
Yeah.
We do stress, but not as those who have no hope.
Yeah.
And so, well, this was the second one on stress, and I think next week we'll go on to something probably new, but I hope you're getting something out of it. And I hope you use these podcasts to to benefit others. And if you hear a podcast you like, send it to a bunch of people and say, hey, you've got to hear this podcast. Use them as tools, okay? And we don't have all the answers, but we share what we do know. And again, we'd love to hear comments from you guys. And we really enjoyed having Gennaro with us today.
Thank you.
I think you'll be a real go-to guy. You do a good job.
Thank you.
Any last thing you guys want to say?
I think we're good.
Well, we love you guys and appreciate you. And I always say, I'll see you here, there, in the air. It's an old slogan I have. So God bless.
See you guys.
You gotta find your people, the ones that make you feel alright. But kind you wanna stay up with all night. You gotta find your people, the ones that make you feel whole. They won't leave your side when you lose control. The ones that don't let you lose your soul.